And top of the hour, I want to begin with the parents of Trayvon Martin breaking their silence and calling for action. They have been understandably quiet since George Zimmerman was acquitted of killing their son. But now they're opening up about Saturday night's verdict. Trayvon Martin's mother, Sabrina Fulton, said that she was watching the news, like I know millions of you did as well. And when she heard those two words, not guilty, she said she was both shocked and stunned.
I was in a bit of shock. I thought surely that he would be found guilty of second-degree murder, manslaughter at the least, but I just knew that they would see that this was a teenager just trying to get home. This was no burglar. This was somebody's son that was trying to get home.
You were stunned by the verdict.
I was stunned, absolutely. I couldn't believe it.
All week, America has debated the verdict and the message it sends, especially to some African Americans who believe Zimmerman racially profiled Martin. The teen's mother says that sends, and I'm quoting her, a terrible message.
Is this the intent for the justice system to have for victims? I mean, it's sending a terrible message to other little black and brown boys that you can't walk fast, you can't walk slow. So what do? I mean, how do you get home without people knowing or either assuming that you're doing something wrong? Trayvon wasn't doing anything wrong.
Trayvon Martin's parents are speaking tonight to Anderson Cooper. Set your DVR now or watch it live with the rest of us, 8 o'clock Eastern. Please do not miss that. The parents, along with their lawyers, say they want President Obama, they want the administration to review this case. In part, they want to know if following an unarmed 17-year-old is legal. The president, as we know, has sent a statement calling this a tragedy, calling for calm and for everyone to respect the verdict, but has yet to speak publicly about that. Meantime, I want to let you know just a short time ago, there she is, the First Lady in Chicago today, making this public appearance, speaking to students affected by violence. We listened to the whole thing. We listened to the Q&A. She did not mention the verdict, at least not yet. So joining me now to discuss whether the president should even step in on this case, spark some kind of national dialogue. I have two gentlemen here, CNN political commentator and host of the Ben Ferguson Show, Ben Ferguson, and CNN political analyst Cornell Belcher. So guys, welcome. Good to see both of you. Cornell, let me begin with you because, you know, we're listening to the First Lady. Here she is in Chicago, of all places, a place that knows violence all too well. Were you surprised that Michelle Obama didn't mention anything about race, about this verdict, or is it even her place?
Yeah. You know, I think we have to understand what a difficult situation it is to be the first black president, because I think to a certain extent you are asked to go above and beyond what other presidents have been asked. I mean, George Bush could just be president. Barack Obama has to be president plus to a certain extent. And this is, and it really is, I want us to understand the razor's edge that he walks. On one side, you have minorities saying the president doesn't do enough specifically for minorities and he doesn't speak enough to those issues. He gets pressure there. But on the other side, on the right, you have people who are saying the president in fact does too much for minorities. And we just saw a campaign in 2012 where group after group tried to say that the president was just looking out for African Americans and race baiting. And the problem is if the president dives into this issue, it immediately becomes polarized and it can be more harmful than, quite frankly, than helpful.
Ben, you're on the right. You've been watching all of this.
Yeah.
Do you think it is the president's place? And let me push it one step further. Let's say if the president sort of jumps into this fray, how should he discuss race specifically?
Well, you know, discussing race is one thing, but discussing this specific case is something totally different. And the president already injected himself into this case by saying, if I had a son, he would look like Trayvon Martin. And that is not the job of the president, because the job of the president is an incredibly tough job. And part of it is to realize the power and the influence you have. Can he go around, and should the president go around, commenting on cases all across the country where people's lives are affected, people are killed, raped, murdered in this country? Look at all the murders in his hometown of Chicago. More than 400 young African Americans have been killed in Chicago since Trayvon Martin, the night that happened. He has a obligation, a duty as president to not put himself in these situations to comment on specific cases, because when you do, people in the justice system are going to react differently to these cases because the president may be showing that he has influence there. And when you see the president do that, you're going to react to it. And that's not fair to anyone in this country.
We're talking about Chicago, and I have to ask, why isn't there? We have seen absolute national outrage over what happened in Sanford, Florida, not just from last February, of course, but since Saturday night. Why is there not national outrage each and every day over what is happening every weekend in Chicago? Cornell.
Well, I think there's an opportunity here. I mean, I know a lot of us want to look at the legal system and say we want to look for the courts to answer this. But the truth of the matter is, all those people who are protesting and marching, I'm for vigils, I'm for protests, but we have to organize. I mean, we have to go out and organize, do a hoodie registration drive. And actually take a page from my friend on the right, what the Tea Party did. Take your protest and organize it and apply political pressure. If you don't like the laws, the stand your ground laws, you know what? There's state legislators, there's city council members, put pressure on them, challenge them in primaries. Do what the Tea Party did, challenge them in primaries. You'll be surprised at how few votes you need to actually win a state Senate seat.
What about, though, prominent African-American leaders, folks who fought during civil rights, folks whose voices we hear today? Ben Ferguson, I read a tweet from you pretty recently that was pretty scathing on what their role should be.
Well, I mean, there's some people that are involved in this case, and I'll be blunt, because they see it as a political opportunity to interject themselves and become more popular with their own brand. This case has become so much bigger.
Specific.
Well, I mean, look at just the moments that we've had from NFL football players saying that George Zimmerman won't last a month or a year before the hood catches up to him. The wide receiver Cruz said that. Beyonce is helping expand her brand when she has a moment of silence. They probably weren't watching the case, and they're not respecting the law, but they see an opportunity here because of a tragedy and the fact that everyone's covering it to then interject themselves without even probably paying attention to all the actual facts, because it's good for their brand and it brings more people to their attention and to their audience. And that, to me, is the biggest tragedy of all. Because if Beyonce's going to have a moment of silence, why isn't she involved with youth violence, gang violence, and all the youth that are getting killed in her hometown or Chicago or Atlanta or Memphis or D.C. or anywhere else in the country? And she's not.
Do you think that's fair, Cornell?
Well, no, I think it's unfair, but I also think it puts a light on the problem with discussing these issues in our country, because the moment you do, it's like the third rail of culture. In the moment you touch it, it becomes problematic. But here's what the real cost of our inability to have a real conversation about race is. Trayvon Martin is dead because we've been kicking the race can down the road and have been unable to have a real conversation about race. And it's literally killing our kids all across America. Trayvon is dead today because of our inability to have a real conversation about race.
It's tough to have the conversation. It's tough to have the conversation. It's frustrating for me. I feel like we're round and round in circles. I have to end it here. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Ben Ferguson and Cornell Belcher, I appreciate it.